All right, welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. We are here in the greenhouse or hoop house, getting ready to finish up our raised bed garden here made out of logs. We've got 6 total logs out here, or trees. We've got this one, and these are the kind of the biggest ones, and I've got a bigger 6-foot piece here to saddle these down on top of, and then I have one here and then one far over there. I got these all pulled into the greenhouse the other day. They're reversed, so the thicker end is down there and the thinner end is down here, and so this thinner end will fit on top of the thicker end of this one and make kind of a straight wall here. And we have some extra pieces. You'll see 6-foot pieces kind of sitting out here. Those will go on top of the middle and the 2 ends. And so I think we have everything we need. Now, yesterday I came out here just before dark and started messing around making one of these cuts, and I realized a few things about the saddle cuts, which I'll talk to you guys about here in a minute. So the idea is to notch these out so that this first log here will fit right down to the ground. And I've already started doing that, but I've actually kind of did this one wrong, and so I'll talk a little bit about that. So as I was planning this out, what I wanted to do was get this obviously down to sit on the ground, and so I thought I would notch both of these out. And just, knowing very little about this, I thought, well, I'd make 2 saddle cuts. So, I'd cut a saddle on the bottom log, and then I would cut a matching saddle on the top log, and they would fit together nicely. But however, what I didn't really think about was I don't really need 2 saddles. The saddles connections aren't meant to be made together, so you're not meant to have 2 saddles. You're meant to have 1 log and then a saddle that fits over the top of that rounded log, so it fits, nicely together like that. 2 saddle connections together don't really work, because what you end up with is this, and there's just a big gap in the middle. Not really thinking that through, it doesn't really make sense. So that's how I have this one, and what we're going to do to fix this, all I need to do is just notch this out square and have 2 square connections, so those square connections will fit all the way together and fit nicely right down to the ground on these double ones. Now the next tier, the log that I put right here, I won't really need to do 2 saddle connections. I can leave this rounded, and then I can just cut a saddle that will fit on the top of it for this next log, and so that will fit down nicely there. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how this all works out once we get this done, but I think that's what we're gonna end up doing here. We'll get this one kind of corrected and squared up, and then we'll go down the row here. I want to get this first log all sit down nicely, and then we'll do the second one once we're done with this one. Well, not exactly the best the best work. It's way overcut, but that's all right. We'll throw one of these extra pieces in there to shim that up, and it'll be covered with the next log. But I definitely learned a lot with this cut. So yesterday in the dark, I kept widening those saddles to try to get them fit together, and I was trying to figure out why they weren't sitting down flush until I figured that out just kind of thinking about it last night. So when I made that cut, the equal size of the saddle I had cut, it was way too big. So I'll know what to do on the next ones. So we'll get the middle one notched out next, and we'll try to do this one with square notches and see if this will work a little bit better. And then we'll do the last one. So you'll see the end of it is quite a bit further in from the end there. That's just because this is about 6 inches thinner on this end than it is on this end. So in order to keep it kind of straight, we will keep this side in a little bit. All right, pretty happy with how that turned out. Definitely doing the cuts straight down obviously makes a lot more sense and worked much better. And also I can mark them with the chainsaw. That worked really good, just coming right alongside with the chain and just marking the logs on the bottom and on the top of each one here, and that worked out really well. It's too bad on this one, but it's all right. We learn, and the other one's going to go much better. So hopefully we can lay that one out and get it right in. Maybe the first time. Let's see. Rolling these logs around is not easy. So a couple things about what we're doing here that I just feel like I should answer questions that people have had. So number one, am I going to take the bark off? Obviously I am not. I don't have a draw knife. I do have an old hatchet that's probably needs to be sharpened and messed with. So I'm not going to really mess with that. I just don't feel the need to. This thing's going to be sitting in dirt and having filled with dirt, and so, you know, if it rots a little bit faster, I guess I'm not sure how big of a difference that'll make with the bark on it. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and there'll just be natural logs in here. The other thing, you know, there are some tools, of course. If I'm, you know, if I were building a log cabin, I would be, we'd be in trouble. But this is great practice for messing around with these logs like this. And I don't have a scribe, and I don't have some of the other tools like log dogs and other stuff, and like what is it called, a PV, or I can't remember what the tool's called that you can use to roll the logs around with a handle on it. So this is a lot more difficult for me. Obviously I don't have these tools. I don't do this stuff all the time, and I don't have a need for those things. So if I'm going to get into this more often, you know, if I want to build a log cabin, of course I'll get those things. But just for this little project, you know, making a raised bed, we're just going to make this pretty crude and quickly and as easily as possible with the stuff that I have. I have a chainsaw and I have a hammer. So we'll use those. So this one here, I think needs to go down just another maybe 2 inches. So I'm gonna shave both these, roll this log out of the way, and we'll shave both these down just a little bit more. And the middle one actually I think is perfect. So it actually has a little bit of play in it. And I think once I get that end down, that will sit flush also. I think the end is kind of holding the middle up a little bit. So I only have 4 of these. These were left over from the mantle project that I did. And these are called headlock. This is a 6-inch lag screw. These things are amazing. They're actually replace lag screws or carriage bolts for decking and other stuff. They're very tough, and obviously you can get them super long. So I'm going to run one of those in this joint right here, and probably the middle joint also. That one I'm not worried about. It is so heavy and solid that I just am not worried about that one. And plus I don't think the 6-inch will be big enough to go through that anyway. So we'll put one here and one here, make sure we tie these in real good. And then same on the other side, I'll do one there and one on the middle. And then the top row will just focus on those saddle cuts, making those nicer so it locks together, and we don't need any more lag screws for that. So my distance measurement from the bottom of that log to the ground was about 14 inches. So I'm okay with being, you know, within an inch. I don't care if there's a little gap on the ground. or even if it's overcut just a little bit, that's totally fine because it's going to be resting on the ground basically anyway. I just want to lock it in from side to side. So what I want to do though is cut a little bit more out of the bottom than the top. So I'll go 8 inches here and then 6 inches on the top there. That'll give us our 14 inches. Well, we're making progress. The second log here actually went in quite a bit nicer. This one down here, interestingly, the distance to the ground was more than the thickness of this log. So what I should have done was probably built the ground up underneath this and left about 2 inches more. So now what I'm going to do is, because I don't have anything left on this log to saddle the next one to, I'm actually going to notch this one in a little bit right here and sit that down into it. And then the other side I'll saddle it. So it'll be a little different. I'll have to smooth out some of these areas and make this sit down nicely. Same thing with the middle one here. This one came down a little bit low. I took all those wood chips out from underneath it before I measured, and probably shouldn't have done that. I should have measured from the wood chips down, but anyway, it'll work out all right. The next log that sits on top of these will tie that together pretty well and strengthen it up, so I'm not too worried about it. I may go out. I've got one more bigger piece of wood. I might use a bigger log for this centerpiece here. That one's a little small, but it's coming together. You know, even just as is, this would be a fine little raised bed. You can fill this up and just use it as it is, but we're gonna go a little bigger. We're gonna go a little taller on this. So, but this is gonna be a nice long raised bed. 24 feet we'll get out of this one. So it'll be nice. And the width in the inside is a little bit wider, more grow space on this end because the logs are thinner than it is down at that end. A little less grow space down there, but still, I think it's pretty cool. There's definitely been a learning curve with putting this stuff together, and you know, you do research, you look up diagrams, you read books, and until you get out here and start putting things together, you know, there's always the little things that you don't think of, the little measurement mistakes, the tools you don't have, that kind of stuff. So next time I do something like this, you know, maybe we buy some pole wood or buy a bunch of pine wood logs and we build a little log cabin in the back down the road someday. I'd love to do that. And now I have just a little bit of an idea of what I need and you know, some of the challenges that I'll face on something larger scale. So I like doing these little projects like this just to learn, and it's been a lot of fun. So I think this is going to turn out really good. I know this series is getting long, but we'll probably do 1 or 2 more videos to finish this project off, and then we're going to get started on the sugar shack, the pallet sugar shack. I have a plan to build just about the entire thing from pallets and pallet wood, with the exception of a few things, beams or rafters and other things I might need. But we're gonna see if I can do this for as close to free as possible. There'll be some hardware and other things involved with that project, but I've got diagrams out, and the wife and I sat down and planned some things. So I'm excited to get started with that before I even finish this one. And so that'll be coming out here soon. So don't forget, thumbs up on the video as always, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. If this is your first time checking out the channel, you need to hit the subscribe button. Follow along. We got lots of cool stuff coming out. Hopefully you guys enjoy. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good one.